In this podcast, we're going to talk about energy healing. Carol, probably the most common question we're asked is, what is energy alignment and how does it work?
Well, the first thing we have to remind ourselves is that energy is light, created by the fusion of atoms within the fiery core of the sun, and that all living things are suffused by this light. We also know that energy can't be created or destroyed, only changed.
So we have to consider how it works.
Yes, and Max Planck, who was awarded the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1918, described how light radiates in the form of small packets of energy that he called quanta. And of course that was the origin of quantum theory. He described the electromagnetic field, or light, as primary. In other words, matter evolved from light. And of course this brings us to the age-old question of the origin of consciousness. And Planck stated, "I regard consciousness as fundamental. I regard matter as derivative from consciousness." In other words, he was saying that light came first, that our true nature is light. And in the words of Jesus, "You are the light of the world."
And in the beginning, let there be light, the creation story.
Yes.
And we know that all living things are surrounded by an electromagnetic field, and it's that we're aligning.
Yeah.
And aligning means to bring into correct position.
That's right. So the energy field which surrounds the human body is comprised of electromagnetic waves, and these radiate in fluctuating patterns. The cells of the body are suffused with this energy, and it can be imaged by technology.
And capacity varies, doesn't it, from person to person and moment to moment. And these fields interact. So when we have a Kirlian image taken of the aura, it relates only to that moment.
That's
and
right.
then the next moment it can change.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it, that in 1939, Semyon Kirlian accidentally discovered images of electrical corona discharge on photographic plates. And since then, we've been able to image the biofield through advanced technology. And Russia and Eastern European countries were the first to research its value in healthcare.
Yeah, that's right. And research shows that the waves are influenced by our thoughts, feelings and behaviour. So, example, a calm person will have a greater field than a hysterical person, and that's the reason we feel better around calm people.
And when we lose our equilibrium and feel out of balance, then that means that our energy is weakened, and at that point then we're vulnerable, especially psychologically.
Yes, so the energy field of each one of us is a complex web composed of energetic layers or envelopes, and these correspond with a planetary energy field or the biofield.
And apparently it was a panel of scientists at the National Institute of Health who chose the word biofield in 1994 to describe, and this is their quote, "the field of energy and information that surrounds and interpenetrates the human body."
Yes. So, in effect, we are a microcosm of the macrocosm. And this understanding is described in great detail by ancient texts. So it's described as 12 layers or envelopes, often referred to as bodies. Commonly, we refer to 4 of these, which correspond with the material world. So if we think of the human body, it's a body of action. But then what the texts are saying is that we have an emotional body or field which governs feelings, and a mental body which governs our thought process, and then there's a 4th field which links to intuition and higher awareness, then the 5th field or body, which is often referred to as the higher self,
Yes.
is an intermediary which holds the matrix or blueprint of the lower fields. So this is the level that we're aligning to in energy alignment. And the 6th and 7th fields connect to spiritual origins, non-physical spiritual origins. And those above the 8th up to the 12th, we don't need to really worry about those because they're linked to interplanetary dimensions.
And until we actually acknowledge that we're more than physical beings, then we're going to remain unaware of anything beyond the body.
Of course. So the more we're focused upon the lower senses, the more materialistic we are. We're unable to comprehend the existence of anything beyond our direct but limited perception of the 5 senses. So what we can't see, feel or measure, we don't believe, because we're body focused.
Yes.
And then the brain is considered to be the superior organ.
And the Heart Math Institute, they've done loads of work, and there's some research, their research shows that all the organs of the body are involved in energetic communication. So they're communicating with each other energetically, and the brain is the receiver and the transmitter. It's like a sort of an inner and outer messaging system.
That's right. So it's very interesting work. The magnetic fields produced by the heart are referred to as cardio-electromagnetic communication. And it's actually the heart and not the brain which is ultimately the most powerful source of electromagnetic energy radiating beyond the human body. It produces the largest rhythmic electromagnetic field of any of the body organs. The heart's electrical field is about 60 times greater, in fact, in amplitude than the electrical activity generated by the brain.
Yes.
And the magnetic field produced by the heart is more than 100 times greater in strength than that of the brain. And it can be detected radiating 3 feet from the body by magnetometers.
A lot of people would be really surprised by that.
I think so.
And these energy systems interact within the body.
Yes. So we were speaking of the fields. So the 2nd and the 3rd fields referred to manage sensory and mental processes, linking emotion and cognition through the limbic system, which is a part of the brain which is the intermediary between the physical body and higher awareness. We have to keep reminding ourselves here that we're all the time speaking about 2 different dimensions, the physical body and the physical dimension, and the metaphysical, in other words, beyond the body.
Yes.
So the 4th field communicates intuitively. So this is beyond the mind, or beyond the lower mind, the cognitive mind. It relates to the higher discriminative capacity beyond the lower mental faculties. If we pay attention, we become increasingly intuitive and responsive and aware of dynamic forces beyond the body. And we begin to seek answers to questions to gain spiritual understanding.
Yes. And the 5th energy body can be seen as a blue grid system. And that holds the matrix of soul memories, and that encapsulates the lower bodies.
Yes. And it's related to deeply spiritual experiences of enlightenment, where time and space no longer exist. So when people have these experiences, they find them quite difficult to describe, to explain, because they don't relate to the 4 lower aspects of consciousness. And at that level it can be understood as the unified field of pure consciousness. So it's often experienced in out-of-body experience or near-death experience, or it can be accessed inadvertently, for example through substance abuse, and of course through paranormal activity. But when used in spiritual practice, yoga, tai chi, meditation, etc., it's a path to enlightenment.
Yes. But today, of course, many in the medical profession and others still dismiss energy healing.
Yeah. Because the current medical curriculum doesn't provide an understanding of subtle energy anatomy.
No.
It's simply not included. The currently taught science-based medical model is of chemical and biological structures and functions, which focus only upon the physical anatomy and, of course, upon the psychological aspects. But this limits understanding and disqualifies any other approach to healing as simply non-scientific.
And Western medical science, sort of orthodoxy, had developed a sort of compartmentalised approach, and they saw the whole body as a sort of separate parts rather than as a whole.
Yes.
But we're now seeing an integrative medicine combining conventional medical treatments and energy medicine, aren't we? It's beginning.
Yeah. Metaphysical healing views the body and the mind as one interactive unit, so it's impossible to treat just the part which is showing symptoms of disorder. To find the cause, we must always look to the whole, because the cause always lies in the energy field. But thankfully, advances in quantum biology and biophysics have created a paradigm shift, providing the scientific perspective that they're seeking. So solid theoretical foundations supported by empirical evidence.
Yeah, and I think it's a point that we need to make, that we've got thousands of years of the recorded history of healing, and actually medical science is in its infancy because it only emerged in the 18th century.
That's right. And while magnificent contributions have been made by medical science, today we're seeing a system which has been hijacked by the pharmaceutical industry.
Yes.
You remember doctors take the Hippocratic Oath to first do no harm. And Hippocrates, widely regarded as the father of medicine, would hardly recognise what's practised today. It's difficult to believe that an estimated 250,000 deaths per year in the United States are due to iatrogenic causes. And iatrogenic is defined as a medical disorder, illness or injury caused in the process of medical treatment.
And to understand energy healing, we need to go back to science, because I think we need to consider the structure and the action of light.
And back to Einstein.
Yes.
So over 100 years ago, Einstein proposed, quote, the quantum theory of light, explaining that light is made up of small particles known as photons, which can operate as waves. So a photon then is the basic unit of light, a subatomic particle. And science confirms that all matter is composed of subatomic particles, but these include permanent and impermanent atoms. So permanent atoms are indivisible. They can't be split. These are the seed atoms of creation, the positive nucleus of energy and light. And in metaphysical terms, these atoms carry the vibratory pattern of consciousness, surviving the death of the body and preserving memory as karmic experience. Permanent atoms produce impermanent atoms of a lower frequency. Impermanent atoms are the elements which are the building blocks of the physical universe and of the human body.
Yes.
So energy is progressively downloaded as a hierarchical system of structure and form.
And of course, this is the connection to body, mind and spirit.
Yes. So permanent atoms reflect the higher mind or higher self, and impermanent atoms produce biological systems at progressively reduced frequencies. So a lowered frequency produces the intellectual mind, that's the mental, analytical, cognitive field. And a further reduced frequency produces the sensory or emotional field, and the denser frequency produces structure and form as the physical body.
So let's look at what happens after the death of the physical body.
On the death of the physical body, the impermanent atoms are reconstituted as carbon planetary elements, so the body is buried or cremated. The thoughts, feelings, belief systems we've created in life are the finer particles which, freed from the body, dissolve in space. So ashes to ashes and dust to dust. But they don't disappear.
Right.
They just go to a higher frequency or return to a higher frequency.
So that's why religions and spiritual movements describe us as aspects of God or children of God.
Yes.
Because that's what happens, going back to the source.
Yes. If we see God as the source, we are children of God.
Yes. So let's talk about healers, because healers talk a lot about light.
Yes, so light is a collection of photon particles, as we've said, and these move in a cyclical wave pattern. That's the photonic field described by Einstein. And wavelengths are just one section of that repeating pattern of waves.
I mean, we can quickly develop brain fog, and it can be confusing, can't it, when we attempt to understand all the components of light, because we've got electromagnetic fields, photons, particles, light waves, light beams, and on and on.
Yes, it is intrinsic to healing to consider how energy moves. So photons are the specific subatomic particles, which are the force carriers, and they travel at the speed of light. They operate beyond time and space at a speed of almost 300 million metres per second. We can't even imagine, can we?
No.
So think of a 60-watt light bulb carrying 10 million trillion photons per second. And waves can be measured on the electromagnetic spectrum from the highest to the lowest energy.
And we're talking about photons as force carriers, which reminds me of the Star Wars film, May the Force be with you. So can we describe how light correlates to the electromagnetic spectrum?
Yes, we can only see a portion of the electromagnetic spectrum, which is known as visible light. And these are the rainbow colours we're all familiar with, the frequencies which correlate to the chakra system. So 3 lower frequencies, red, orange and yellow, correspond to the carbon-based elements of the planet and to physical life. The intermediate frequency is green, and 3 higher frequencies, the blue, indigo, violet, reflect the non-physical energy field connected to higher consciousness. Ultraviolet light can be mapped by technology, but it lies beyond the visible spectrum, so it can only be seen by those with developed clairvoyant vision. This is actually the realm accessed by psychics, healers and mystics.
So, can we describe the action of colour and light within the body?
Yeah, if we think in terms of the energy system, red, the lowest frequency, equates with the base chakra, creating the anchor and foundation for life. Orange connects to soul identity through the sacral chakra. Yellow balances the emotions through the solar plexus chakra.
And green, the midpoint of the chakra system, relates to the fusion of spirit and matter. So the goal is to connect through the heart chakra.
Yes, that's right. Because blue connects to the throat chakra, the vehicle of self-expression and personal empowerment, and to the throat. And indigo connects to the third eye, sometimes referred to as the brow chakra. and the pituitary gland, which links to the development of spiritual perception, while violet connects to the crown chakra and the pineal gland, the connection to the non-physical aspect of higher consciousness. If we think of a newborn baby, we're probably all aware of the fontanelle on the top of the baby's head at the crown, just before the crown, and that closes shortly after birth. That's the connection between non-physical life and physical life, the physical body.
Gosh, if mums realised that.
Mm-hmm.
And each separate colour frequency, of course, has its own effect. And we've got light therapy lamps and appliances today which are used to promote specific healing.
Yes, these are becoming more commonly used. So the measurement is defined as hertz, which is 1 cycle per second. So blue light is 631 terahertz, and it aligns circadian rhythms which regulate the body. And green light is 588 terahertz, which enhances cell fusion. Red light, 508 terahertz, penetrates the cells, reduces inflammation and increases blood flow. And these are all approximations within this range.
So, having laid this foundation, how would you define energy alignment?
It's the means by which the atoms and molecules within the electromagnetic field are positively charged to align to the matrix.
And how this occurs?
Well, by connecting to a more powerful energy source, which is the higher frequency. So if we think in everyday terms of charging the battery on our car, if the battery's flat, we charge it by placing battery leads to another car engine to produce the spark, and off we go. And in the most basic terms, this is what happens collectively when we keep good company. We share a positively charged field, as in listening to music, attending a film or sporting events, because we're each conductors and transmitters of energy, for better or for worse, and we're interacting at all times and therefore affecting each other positively or negatively.
And we know that those who maintain a charged energy field can affect others. For example, people we consider to be charismatic, they have a powerful pull on the electromagnetic field of others. And we recognise those people because we can feel it. We can actually feel that exchange of energy, can't we? It puts me in mind of, obviously, Princess Diana.
Yes, a good example. She was able to connect to others at a very deep level, literally through the heart chakra. And this was shown, of course, in the outpouring of grief following her death, because people felt a personal connection and therefore a loss. This is actually the shock of bereavement. This is what happens at the death of a person that we love or feel close to. There's an actual disconnection of the energy, and we feel it as a loss.
Like something, and I felt it myself, something disappearing from the heart.
Yes, that's right.
But a powerful energy field is not necessarily a good thing, is it?
No.
I mean, energy is defined by its effect. I mean, if the energy is aligned, then that effect is beneficial.
Yeah.
But if the projected energy is, say, self-serving or manipulative or deceitful, then it will have a negative effect on others, won't it?
Yes, because negative energy comes from misaligned chakras. And it's projected onto others in order to exert control. So we've seen how a powerful leader, for example, like Hitler, can sway nations.
Yes.
It's a very powerful collective field. So we have to learn by observing outcome on ourselves and others. And of course that's the basis of relationship. we should ask ourselves, does this energy bring joy and optimism? Is it calming and harmonious? Or does it inflame anger and resentment and promote violence?
Yes. And the Emerald Alignment exercise is based on the principle that energy follows thought, and there are two parts of the process, the alignment and the sealing.
Yes, so the Emerald Alignment is a self-help exercise which we've shared for many years. If we think in terms of the human energy field being egg-shaped and comprised of 7 rays or frequencies, so the emerald ray corresponds to the 4th chakra, which metabolises the energy of the heart. At the energetic level, emerald light, which we perceive as emerald green, directly impacts the heart as a subtle tremor, and we may feel this at significant times. The effect is twofold, energetic and physical, promoting the fusion of spirit to matter. So in anatomical terms, it promotes a regenerative, restorative response. The photon particles replenish the cells by means of oxygenation, acting upon the subtle energy system through the crystalline collagen fibres, and these make up the bulk of connective tissue throughout the body. So it's a very physical effect within the body.
And to seal the electromagnetic field, then we focus on the colour blue, because blue light has a very short wavelength and so produces a high amount of energy.
The 5th energetic ray, corresponding to the blue frequency, as we mentioned before, the higher self, the vehicle which links to retain soul memory and our soul identity. This is a signalling system which links us to our divine origins. So in metaphysical terms, it has a direct energetic effect. It works through the pineal and pituitary glands, which provide pathways to higher consciousness, operating beyond time and space. So the blue vibration has been shown to have a positive effect upon physical anatomy, stabilising hormonal secretion and nerve signalling through the limbic system. It has a self-protective influence. It affects mental health positively by synchronising circadian body rhythms.
Carol, today there's a lot of interest in mindfulness as a first step to taking our awareness beyond the body.
Yes. So meditation is the process by which we can focus our attention beyond the body to the source of light, and this promotes an altered state of consciousness, calmness and a peaceful feeling by aligning the atoms and the molecules of the electromagnetic field, as we've been discussing. So the Emerald Alignment operates in the same way, and it can be used on many levels as mindfulness, if you like, a self-help practice to obtain an immediate response. But at a deeper level, it can be incorporated into a therapy program or used as a daily spiritual discipline to maintain alignment.
But it isn't a quick fix.
No.
And focused practice is essential. But it can be used anywhere and at any time and as often as we need to. And it's free.
Yes, it's all about focus and repetition, because it's useful to remember that repetition is a principle of alignment. So all religious and spiritual traditions recognise this. They incorporate repetitive devotion into their practice. So Islam, for example, requires prayer 5 times daily. Catholicism uses the rosary as a focus for repetitive prayer.
So we need to practice the alignment process regularly for it to be effective.
Exactly so. Think of it as the rosary.
Oh, yes.
Alignment is the acknowledgement of our true reality.
Yes.
We're actually acknowledging and surrendering to ourselves as spiritual beings.
Yes. And that awareness, that acknowledgement takes our awareness beyond the body, doesn't it?
Yes.
So now we're going to listen to the audio Emerald Alignment, which is available on the website and in many of our radio broadcasts and podcasts available through the website. We encourage everyone to use the Emerald Alignment in these difficult times for the good of all.
Amen.
Sit or stand comfortably and take a moment to be aware of the thoughts and the feelings in the body, and aware of the crown of the head. Begin to breathe slowly down through the body, following the line of the spine, breathing down the spine, allowing any heaviness to fall away to the lower body as you breathe to the base of the spine. Aware of the hips and breathing down to the thighs, the knees, the lower legs, the ankles, the heels, and through the feet to the toes, out and away from the toes. And again from the crown of the head, breathing down to the top of the spine, across the shoulders, and down the arms, elbows to the wrists and into the palms of the hands, out and away from the fingers and thumbs. And pause and be aware of the body feeling lighter and more relaxed. And again to the crown of the head. Visualize a point of light above the crown of the head and see the point as the colour emerald green. And breathing in and breathing down the body, drawing the emerald green to the crown and down through the body, through the spine, breathing down to the base of the spine and down to between the heels. And visualize the emerald line from the crown to the heels and into the earth. Feel the body straight and balanced each side of that line. And again to the crown of the head, drawing the emerald green down to the top of the spine and across the shoulders. See the beam of emerald green from shoulder to shoulder, holding the shoulders straight and balanced. And draw the emerald green down through the arms, elbows to the wrists and into the palms of your hands. Aware now of the body feeling lighter, calm and relaxed. At a distance of arm's length, draw a circle of blue right around the body and visualize that circle as a clear, strong blue outline, sealing and protecting all of the positive energy within as you breathe slowly back into the center of the body to a calm, peaceful feeling.